This is breaking news.
All right, we're going to talk a little bit about the fires. The fires started in my hometown of Santa Mauritius, moved quickly to East Mauritius, Eastport, and then to West Hampton, where the dwarf pine barrens are, on the south side of Sunrise Highway. If anyone travels east on Sunrise Highway, you will see the fire came right up to the road in several spots. And our biggest fear at that time was that it would jump the highway like it did in 95, where most of the pine barrens are on the north side of Sunrise Highway, and would have created a real problem. If anyone saw any of those pictures, the black clouds and the clouds from the fire could be seen from Connecticut. They were ominous. I mean, I had a call from a supervisor in Brookhaven. He thought the county center was on fire. It was huge, and it threatened to get huger. And we were very, very concerned. It did not jump Sunrise Highway, but the fire did jump County Road 31, which is West Hampton, Riverhead Road. That's the road that Gabreski Airport is on. It jumped that, and we were very concerned for a time that we would have to evacuate the air base and the industrial park around that. I cannot tell you what a humbling experience it is when you're in need of help, when the fires are burning, and you see one fire truck after another pull up, and people from all over this county rushing into danger to stop this fire. We had 80 fire departments respond from Suffolk County. We had 10 EMS units respond from Suffolk County. I got a call from the county executive of Nassau County who sent equipment out, which fortunately we didn't have to deploy. They stayed ready, though, at our fire academy. I got a call from Mayor Adams, New York City, to ask, can the city help? I got a call, obviously, several calls from the governor, who sent all type of help, not only our DEC commissioner, but our forest rangers, our park police, our state police, and our DEC was out there helping around the clock. Thank you, State of New York. And I got a call from the White House. And this is so humbling because you're watching the fires destroy our pine barrens. And I've served on the Pine Barrens Commission for 12 years and care about them and watch them burn. And when people are calling to say, how can I help? It made all the difference. It's why this fire did not become the fire of 95, which burned for 7 days. Probably longer. Rudy would know. But it is a fire that we were able to contain. Fire started Saturday at 1 o'clock. And by really 1 o'clock on Sunday, it was mostly contained, and there were just hot spots. I cannot thank so many partners. We had helicopters and drones up that were doing live video feeds with our firefighters on the ground to know where those hot spots were. We had the National Guard dropping water, picking up water in the bay and dropping it on the fires where needed. Without the combined efforts of everyone involved, we would not have been able to stop this fire. And by the way, we have water mains along County Road 31, and they worked. The hydrants there, unlike California, worked. So thank you, Suffolk County Water Authority, which is an independent from Suffolk County government, but a great group of people. So this was a fire that could have been far more serious than it was. I know the police department and our fire marshals take this seriously. They'll talk later. They're looking at the origin of this fire. The police department and our commissioners here will tell you we have 25 detectives looking at this to make sure that we know how this fire started. and the origins of this fire. So with that, I'm going to turn it over to our DEC commissioner and then to the guy that directed our firefighters, our Commissioner of Fire, Rescue, and Emergency Services, Rudy Sunderman. So I cannot thank him and his staff for their efforts, and thank all the volunteer firefighters and EMS workers that showed up. When you have an emergency, when it's a desperate time, in a desperate hour, and people come and say, let me help you. I am so thankful to our firefighters. And with that, our DEC commissioner.
Thank you, County Executive. You know, Governor Hochul immediately jumped into action and directed a multi-agency response to ensure that we were here on the ground supporting the local communities to help combat this fire. First, I really want to express just deep gratitude to Rudy for his excellent leadership, as well as the West Hampton Fire Chief, who's not here today, but did an excellent job really making sure that this fire was well under control and quickly. Importantly, of course, DEC sprung into action with a lot of our team here in the region, as well as our forest rangers, helping to support this fire. I'm really pleased to report that it is 100% contained with a hard line. We're remaining vigilant to ensure that we are continuing to do patrols, ensuring that we are addressing any hotspots as they come up. But we've really seen incredible progress, and that's really due to the incredible coordination of the local communities, as well as the many state agencies that were on the ground to ensure that we are available to assist. Governor Hochul has also directed that the New York State burn ban, which generally takes into effect on March 16th, takes effect immediately on places like Long Island, where we're seeing a heightened risk of fire. So really want to urge Long Island residents to be fire safe. Make sure that you are complying with that burn ban. Make sure that we are really minimizing our risk of fire as we continue to see high winds, relatively low humidity, and other conditions that make this region really a little bit more prone to the fire risk generally that we're seeing this season. But we're making sure that we are actually putting those restrictions in place now rather than waiting until the middle of the month. We're going to continue to be on scene. We're going to continue to support the community. Our forest rangers and DEC operational crew remain on site, are continuing to work with the local communities, and will be here to assist with really the full containment as this week continues. So thank you again. I'll turn it over to Rudy, and just want to again express my gratitude for his leadership, and of course for welcoming me as we arrived on the scene over this weekend. So thank you very much.
So, as the DEC commissioner said, you know, the partnership is very important. But, you know, as the county executive also said, you know, it's the local volunteer fire and EMS agencies that come together, and the partnership between all levels of government that really makes it a successful event. And the fires, as you heard, are 100% contained in the West Hampton Pines fire, which we just determined a short time ago. So it's really important to know that. So, you know, this morning we had our local fire department, our DEC heavy machinery, our rangers, and our county DPW working together to continue that containment, which just recently occurred. And they're going to continue over the next few days working on the hot spots, which is important. We are now headed over to the Eastport fire, which did occur on that same day around 1 p.m. And we're going to handle that area, and we're going to put a containment on that fire as well, which the fire department in Eastport responded to 20 alarms over the weekend, as you know, in that area, and it's burnt over 33 acres. So we're going to be over there today working on that area, working closely with the DEC, the forest rangers and their heavy equipment, and the county DPW. So we're headed over to the Eastport area right now. My staff and the teams are all working together to prepare for that. As you heard the DEC commissioner say, that statewide ban is very important. We ask our residents in Suffolk County to please practice fire safety. That's the message today, that we have to practice fire safety. And again, I really thank the partnership, as the county executive and the DEC commissioner said. It's that local fire chief from West Hampton to every fire chief and EMS volunteer. Thank you for their hard work this last weekend. Really made it a successful event. Thank you.
Police Commissioner.
Thank you. Good afternoon. So
This is
far,
our Police Commissioner.
okay, thank you. Police Commissioner Kevin Catalina. So far, our investigation is pointing strongly towards an accidental origin for Saturday's fires. So, and I can give you guys a timeline. So at around 10:30, we have a fire that's extinguished in the Santa Mauritius, Manorville area. It's just east of here and on the north side of Sunrise Highway, but within sight distance of Sunrise Highway, and it's actually just on the service road. And the way that fire started is that somebody was out at about 9:30 in the morning cooking s'mores or making s'mores. The individual who's making the s'mores is unable to get the fire lit due to the winds, but they used cardboard to initially light that fire. So that's at 9:30. That person subsequently discovers that the fire does ignite, and the backyard area, all goes up in fire. And again, that fire is extinguished at approximately 10:30. Now at around 12:57, we get our first fire reported on the south side of Sunrise Highway. And that fire is about a quarter mile, or maybe less than that, maybe an eighth of a mile southeast of the initial Cosine fire. And if you remember that day, the wind was blowing very, very strongly from the northwest. So that path makes perfect sense. So we also have, right around that same time, right around 1 o'clock, a fire on Chapman Boulevard that's reported. And again, that is just maybe another eighth of a mile southeast of that second reported fire
In Manorville.
in Manorville. And then we have another one reported just around the same time, maybe a quarter mile to an eighth of a mile from that location on County Road 111. So all of those fires, it was initially reported that there were 4 separate fires, all reported at one time. All of those fires are in a direct line with the strong northwest wind that was blowing that day, and it is believed that the embers from each fire traveled and continuously started more fires. So that is the operating theory right now. We still have a couple of things to do. We want to interview every 911 caller. We want to run down every Crime Stoppers lead just to rule every possibility out. But we feel very, very strongly, again, that this is an accidental fire, and it was started as a result of, that initial Cosine fire.
And we have 25 detectives.
Yes, and as County Executive said, we have 25 detectives still working on this, running down all of those leads, and we will have that completely done by the end of the day today. But again, this theory, it makes perfect sense. That day, if we remember, the wind was very similar to the wind today, but much stronger, but the same direction. And the subsequent fires started as a result of that wind driving the embers and the flames in that direction. Cosine is a location. It's
a
possible.
road that runs both north and south of Sunrise Highway in the Santa Mauritius, Manorville area.
That fire, that s'mores fire, did not get out, or did it?
The s'mores fire had to be put out by the local fire department, so Santa Mauritius Fire Department put that out.
And was that at somebody's house?
It was in the backyard of a location, yeah.
Did that happen Saturday morning, correct?
Yes,
It was put out because you believe the embers spread,
yes.
so reignite.
Right. Winds will do that. Heavy winds will do that.
What was that, Keith?
400, approximately 400.
In West Hampton.
West
But
Hampton
overall,
Pines fire,
probably
right?
closer to 600.
It's our latest. You can. Our latest, most accurate number is 420. That we don't expect that to change very much, maybe around 5 to 10 acres. Of course, there were a couple of extra fires as we're talking about. So as County Executive has talked about 600, we believe at the West Hampton, we're at about 420 acres.
Commissioner, may I just ask you, yesterday we were talking about the invasive southern pine beetle and how bad it is further east in East Hampton. Do you believe it contributed to the problems with these fires?
We don't see that the southern pine beetle was a contributor to this fire. Usually what will happen is that, unfortunately, pine beetle does kill trees, and then that is what actually causes some additional fuel for fires. We don't believe that that was a contributor to this fire specifically. Of course, it is an important issue that we all want to stay vigilant on and continue to partner to seek to address, but not a specific issue for this fire.
Eastport is still remaining.
So Eastport is 33 acres of what we see, and I'll actually let Rudy speak to it specifically. Do you want to come up? Yeah.
So on the Eastport fire, which is 33 acres, we are deploying the DEC team along with our local fire department is over there and some county support, and we are working on the containment of that right now. It does have 2 road barriers around it, which does help partially with the containment. So we'll just continue the rest of it with containment, and hopefully by the end of the day that will have the containment as well. But remember, we will be working on hot spots throughout the day and throughout the week on both of those fires as we're speaking about.
So for terminology,
so containment is when we go around the perimeter of the fire, and that means
So it can't spread.
It can't spread.
but is there an actual fire in
No, right now it's a lot of hot spots that we're dealing with in the Eastport area as right now.
So just looking in simple terms for viewers, so 3 fires are contained, 1 fire you're still working on hot spots, correct? And across the board, on all 4, the flames are still fully knocked out.
Yeah, there's no flames anywhere at all at any of the fires right now. Correct.
Just going forward, can you or the DEC commissioner talk about, I mean, there's no rain in the forecast for the rest of the week. What concerns do you have, and can you give just a little more detail about the burn ban? What are maybe the 3 top things people should not do during this thing?
Don't cook s'mores.
No, I think fire safety best practices we could tell you. You know, the open burn thing is, you know, when you have your fire pit, you have to make sure your small fire pit that you have or your chimney is that it's extinguished before you go in for the night, right? You don't put your fire pit up against your house, right? Those are like best practices. Your cigarette, if somebody's a cigarette smoker, we're not throwing it out our window and we're extinguishing our cigarette the proper way. Like both best practices should be kept. That's the important. So it's basic fire safety that we've been teaching when we learn when we're in kindergarten and the fire department comes to your local, you know, school and talks about fire safety practices. Those are the things that we ask everybody to just practice now since this burn ban is out there, that we want everybody to use best practices. That's the important part of overall.
And was there anything particular about the s'mores fire that they did wrong, or
I don't. It's under the investigation with the Suffolk County PD. I don't have information on that alarm. Commissioner, I don't know. I don't.
Let the police commissioner.
No, I think that all of the fire departments did a phenomenal job. I think the weather was a contributing factor here that nobody could really account for. And, you know, it's very possible that they put that fire out completely, which we believe that they did. But those embers had already crossed Sunrise Highway and were smoldering on the other side and eventually lit. So, no, I don't think that anybody could blame any of the fire departments. They did a very admirable job.
there's just making s'mores in your backyard? I mean, everybody does that. So
Well, so the s'mores, they weren't able to make their s'mores that morning. What happened was they gave up on the s'mores, but the fire subsequently lit. They were unaware of it, and by the time they were aware of it, it was a full-blown fire. So that's when the Center Merchants Fire Department responded to, put it out. But unfortunately, some of it had probably escaped already.
May I?
Yeah, the winds that day in West Hampton gusted up to 45 miles an hour.
can you clarify how many fires that s'mores fire started then?
Oh, we think the s'mores fire started all of them. I mean, one fire starts another fire, starts another fire, starts another fire. Well, they're all in that direct line of the wind, of that northwest wind.
Which is Eastport, West Hampton.
Yeah.
And if I may, just quickly on fire safety. So since the question was asked, so really importantly in this burn ban, do not burn debris. Don't burn your leaves, any of the debris in your yard. Do not do that. Do not burn your garbage. Make sure you are not having any type of fire of that magnitude. You may have a fire pit. Keep it contained, no higher than 3 feet. Make sure the diameter is no longer than 4 feet. Extinguish your fire when you are done. Do not leave a fire without anybody watching it. These are the things we need to make sure that people are doing during this time. As we said, we have high winds, we have relatively low humidity, and this is what is making our risk for fire being higher during this season. So really ensuring that people are complying with that burn ban. We want to make sure that Long Islanders are aware of it and practice that fire safety. That's correct.
Now.
So the statewide burn ban takes into effect on March 16th. For Long Island and surrounding communities, we are making that take effect now.
Right now.
Is there anything you guys are doing to mitigate when we go into summer still? I mean, we have fires very much. Is there anything you guys are doing now with the
I can address that.
Sure, go ahead, County Exec.
2 weeks ago, I was over in Manaville Hills, which is off County Road 111, and I was with the crew that was cleaning out all the undergrowth and brush and dead pine trees from the pine beetle, because we know that come spring and summer is our brush fire season, and we want to clean up as much as we can of county land to prevent serious fires. So we had a crew out there, but you take a look at our woods, drive our highways, and look at all the dead pine trees from the pine beetle. And we're concerned because they can serve, if a fire is underway, as fodder for that fire and can feed that fire, because those trees are dead and dried out and ready to ignite. So we are concerned. I have asked to have a seminar on the pine beetle, which we're having next month at the end of the month, and Jennifer's working on that, at the Community College Eastern Campus to talk about what we can do, because there's so many trees that have pine trees that have been killed by this beetle that now are dead and laying on our ground and could fuel future fires. So if we don't clean out the brush and the dead trees, we're concerned, particularly in areas that are heavily forested, that if a fire breaks out, that there could be damage, serious damage. We were very, very lucky, and I cannot say thank you enough to the volunteer firefighters and EMS and to all those who pitched in. It proves one thing. When we have an emergency in this country or in this county, and we all come together, we can overcome it, as did our firefighters. Thank you to our firefighters and EMS. Let's remember that lesson, and let's apply it to other things besides fire. Thank you.
This has been breaking news.